Hey, beautiful souls, welcome back to my channel. My name's Astara and I'm an angelic communicator and clairvoyant. And today, this is a message for my beautiful divine feminines. And especially if you're a divine feminine, my throat's going, especially if you're a divine feminine on the twin flame journey. Now, I've just had a weekend away. I have a really amazing friend who is involved in alternative medicine, who was running an international conference in Italy. So I went there for the weekend. If anybody knows about my background, I do a lot with medicine and new tech, and um, I've worked a lot in fertility using natural alternative methods and acupuncture and energy techniques. So it was a really interesting weekend. Um, and when I was there, I had a real connection with the Mother Mary and also the Mary Magdalene. And she was coming through as feeling very strong in her energetic presence. And the whole weekend had me really in my feels. Like I was really feeling really sensitive and yeah, quite aware. Like even the topics in the conference were really interesting. And I won't go into them here, but I will start doing some videos on that because it really was worth talking about. And the twin flame journey, I think, does link to the Christ energy and life force and the things that are going on in our world and how we're trying to birth the new earth. So there's all these different things going on, all these different strands. But overwhelmingly, I felt a very strong sense of Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary. And if you want to know more about these beautiful, beautiful ascended masters, I would call them ascended masters. They are goddesses too, but they're slightly different frequency to goddesses because they had human lifetimes. And I don't know if you know, but like the term Mary usually means like a kind of high initiate, a high priestess, if you like. In the old mysteries, it would have been a high priestess. It was a term used to describe someone who had the ability to communicate and transfer esoteric wisdom. And this is why they were coming forward this weekend because a lot of what was being spoken about at the conference was about our genetic material and our ability to reproduce and all the things that are going on in our world at the moment to depopulate our beautiful world. So I'm just going to take a deep breath because I'm doing a bit of an aside. But what I want to talk to you today about is the messages that I had from Mother Mary. And I found that I was becoming, yeah, very like deeply feeling about what was going on because the divine feminines on the twin flame journey, I am being shown that you are anchoring in this beautiful light. You're anchoring in the frequency of love. Like that is the mission of the divine feminine at this time on earth is to anchor in love and hold that love in your vibration. Hold it in your body, in your being, in your womb space. And it's a vibration of compassion and trust and unity. And you're trying to hold that steady on the twin flame journey. And you may have been also trying to hold it steady for most of your life. And what I was going into in my own journey was how deeply I have been affected by what is the kind of world that I've been living in, the distorted world that I've been living in, and how that many wounds that come up and occur that we may have brought in through from past lives, and I do believe that, but actually there is enough wounding in this life to be able to account for a lot of the pain that many feminines carry, including myself. And the reason I'm saying this is because one of the issues I was finding around my experience in the twin flame journey is going into defense, where I would pull away from the masculine energy because it had been very wounding in the past. And usually, when I meet beautiful divine feminines, they're usually very open, they're very empathic, they're very loving, caring. it's been such a joy to do readings for you guys because it really shows me that it gives me a lot of hope. It really shows me that this whole collective is bringing in this huge rays of light, these massive embodiments of light. And that in itself is helping me realize that all this distortion that a lot of us been faced with, and all the betrayals that we might have experienced, and maybe the abuse, and then on top of that, meeting your twin flame and going into separation, and that once again, like having to relive a lot of those awful abandonment issues and abuse and things that come up in this on this journey. Because I work with feminines where even their twin is treating them as a sexual object or discarding them or treating them with narcissistic traits. And even if it isn't your twin and you're having that in other situations, it's still pretty pants. It's still pretty pants to have, this going on in our world. So many divine feminines that I'm experiencing and working with, and including myself, have been hurt like time and time again. And they've experienced rejection and abandonment and heartbreak, not just through having the masculine partners, but also from anybody in their society, maybe even the colleagues or friends, male friends, bosses, cousins, uncles, fathers. It's been a whole mix. And I want to say here, I've had some wonderful masculine role models in my life, some beautiful, beautiful beings. And I've also had the opposite. And I think this kind of becomes very frustrating because often the abuse comes from people that you trust the most. I think we're kind of aware of that. And that those kind of wounds really cut very deeply and they can make it pretty difficult to remain steady in the vibration of love. And when the twin flame journey hits, you can really open up to the person who is your twin and feel your energy flowing like your very frequency was put on earth to connect with that person with purity and love, and that it should be able to hold that vibration. But when they disconnect and go into separation, then it becomes very difficult to hold the vibration of love. Almost impossible, I would say, to stay in that embodiment of love. And we notice this swing. We notice this back and forward swing, and like one day feeling great, one day feeling awful, and a realignment going on in the body. But it also means that there's a lot of pain. And I think it's interesting what's going on at this time in the collective, because I think a lot of the people I'm dealing with are getting close to another touch point with their twin. It almost feels like another reunion for some of them, or union is coming. You can kind of feel it in the air. And I'm noticing with the divine feminine that it's really making them wobble because they're going into, well, can I trust this person? Can I really trust this person? And I've kind of worked with the idea that I may not be able to trust that person, but I can trust myself. And I think when you've had a lot of wounding around relationship and you've just been loving and open and kind and divine feminine and people have abused that, I think it becomes very difficult to be able to be in presence with that and to trust that the twin is going to come back in the way that it's needed. So on this journey, you're basically waking up a lot of parts of yourself, but to stay heart opened is a challenge in this, I would say. And so the twin flame journey is awakening you, and your soul connection with your twin is entering your life, and suddenly there is this promise that something extraordinary is about to happen, like a love really pure, such a pure love, and so true and so eternal that it feels like everything you've ever been waiting for as a divine feminine, because that's the love that you're carrying inside of you. That's the love that you're anchoring in. And all you've been doing in your whole life probably is waiting for that love to be reciprocated. It's a bit like this beautiful light in this flame shining brightly, and all it wants to do is to not have someone trying to snuff it out all the time, to not have someone just trying to eradicate it. And you think that would be easy, wouldn't you? You think it would be easy. And I sat with this with the Angelic Council of Light, and more than one or two tears were shed because if you're waiting and the invitation here, and this is always what I'm showing with the Angelic Council, is the invitation is always to embody love. The invitation is to trust. The invitation is to believe and to love and to realign back to that source energy. But then we've got this challenge, and this is where the challenge arises, where the divine masculine counterparts are actually distorted. Like they're showing that they're deeply wounded too, and which they are. And they've had experiences of betrayal and abandonment and distortion, and this manifests maybe differently for them. You know, kind of the masculine seems to split off and go through resistance and fear of intimacy and an inability to stay present and get distracted into the mainstream world and often go into ego. So this is very difficult for the divine feminine because often she is offering her heart fully and sometimes her body fully and her womb space fully. And the masculine sometimes abuses that. This is kind of true. But I'd like to think with these twins is that the masculine is trying to make an effort to receive that love and reflect it back. So at this point, and I just want to have lots of compassion for my beautiful divine feminines because this can create like a cycle of pain in this process, where there's a reopening of old wounds, a stirring up of feelings of unworthiness and self-doubt, often, finding the worst thing you can think about yourself, and then, that's kind of cogitating around in your head a lot. And this journey agitates what has been buried. We know that it kind of pulls it all up to the surface to allow us to be initiated into a higher sense of who we are. And this twin flame connection is always kind of dangling like a carrot, isn't it, in front of you? Like, oh, if I do this healing and I purify myself and I transform this, then my twin will come in. And then when you get to the point where, oh, your twin might come in and you realize actually you might have to face this kind of abuse again, this abusive quality. And I don't know about you, but I'm like, enough's enough. Enough's enough. And I'd already decided personally before I met my twin flame that I just wouldn't bother anymore. I just wouldn't bother with relationship anymore. I just wouldn't bother with, I'd have just really good friends and, really, to have a nice time, but I just would not bother with the masculine on any way that was romantic. And I'd made that, I was quite firmly rooted in that because there had been so much abuse in the past. And obviously, this is a public platform. I can't go into what those things were, but and I bet I hear it also from other divine feminines, like the stuff that I come into contact with and hear, it's like, oh my God, how do we get up in the morning? How do we actually keep embodying love? And this is where the Marys really brought in that vibration because they were really saying to me when I was in Turin was that this is the time to heal these wounds and to remain rooted in love, even when these challenges arise. In fact, especially when these challenges arise. And to remember that actually what we're doing here is realigning the feminine, realigning the truth of the feminine, which means not to chase and not to fix like somebody else, but just to embody the truth of who we are. And that does mean recognizing that we're carrying something precious as the carriers of the frequency of love, which we are. I mean, I totally get that when I meet all these beautiful divine feminines and you come for readings and we do work together, like you are like this candle, you are the light. And how to just every time just to remain in that and choose compassion and trust and openness and anchor into that beautiful vibration because that is what's going to change this world. It's what's going to change us and it's what's going to change the world. And eventually it will help change our masculines as well. But this is not easy and it's requiring us to stay open even though our deepest wounds are surfacing and to ask us to believe in love even when everything in the world seems to deny it. Everything in the world, including your twin, sometimes wants to distort it. But this is, and this is what I was shown, that this is our power. This is why we came here. This is it. This is basically it. So while our masculines are struggling, it's about just trying to anchor in more love and light. And people reframe that as loving yourself, and I do believe that. But this is bigger than that. It's a sacred unfolding. It's the more we hold ourselves in love and the more space we give ourselves to really be who we are and to see that and to know it, it's allowing others to step into that as well. It's like anchoring in a particular frequency for long enough and in with enough coherence so that it begins to change what's around us. And this also allows the masculine to begin to remember and to begin to come into his vibrationary awareness and step into his healing, even if it takes him a while to do so. So, if you are a divine feminine and you are feeling weary and heartbroken, I did feel weary this weekend. I just felt like I was in the face of like, how how is this possible? How is this possible? But we we are, a collective here and we are doing this together. We're not alone. And your pain, if you're having any, is not a sign of any weakness at all. It's showing the whatever experiences you had to lead you to that place, whether it was done on your physical body, whether it was done on your emotional body, whether it was done on your mental body, or even your spiritual body. Oh, sorry, I feel quite emotional, or all of them. And it probably has been done on all of those levels. Whatever is going on here, just know that your pain is being healed because your love is stronger. And you are love. That is what the divine feminine is. That's what you're bringing in to this reality and you're helping us all rise. You're helping us all rise, whether we know your name or not. And I, for one, am incredibly, incredibly grateful that you are here living out this mission because it would be a lot lonelier and a lot harder without each and every one of you. So trust this process, I guess. That's what we're doing here. And trust your heart. Remember that your love is the frequency that is actually guiding our planet back into alignment, and that you are not alone. And your love is an embodiment of the divine energy that you are. And what was I going to say? The Marys also showed me that there was a lot of healing of the womb going on, a lot of healing of the womb space. And just as an aside at the end of this, for anyone who needs to hear this, that sometimes the masculine hasn't always treated the female womb space like a temple, like they should do, and like a portal to the divine, like this beautiful space of creative energy. And what I was shown by the Marys is that they are helping to realign any distortions that might have been placed in the womb or through kind of intimacy acts, like to know that there is a healing coming and that you are actually blessed. You're blessed with love and light and this frequency of truth that's coming through, and there's going to be a lot of realigning of any distortions or abusive acts that have been done against the feminine. So if this message resonated, then thank you. Please share and like and share with your beautiful sisters. and know that your community is here to hold you as you're walking through this sacred journey, that we're all walking through it together. And yeah, the I think the eclipses have been full on, and we're going deeper now into October, and I think it's the rest of the year is going to be a very interesting process. But just know that you are definitely not alone, and I'm even being shown there will be reunions before the end of the year for the Twin Flame Collective. But even if there are not, then just know that you are part of something that's very, very beautiful happening here on Earth.